I have made nearly 50,000 cold calls in my 4-year software sales career. I've generated tens of millions of dollars of pipeline while also being rejected thousands of times. There's nothing I can tell you in today's video that's going to help you to overcome every objection you face. It's a natural part of putting yourself out there, making the ask, and cold calling. But I did play a lot of Call of Duty as a child, and I always had my headset on, I was always off mute, and I was always in those public lobbies. So I believe I am the Warren Buffett of cold calling because I've been on the phone longer than almost anyone else in the world. And I think I'm very witty, and that's the art aspect of cold calling. And there's also a science aspect of it. And I've received feedback from senior leaders saying, Trent, you're really quick on your feet and you're talented at overcoming objections. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about how I think about cold calling, specifically as it relates to overcoming objections, exactly what I do, and how I rebuttal some of the most common objections you hear. And if you watch until the end of the video, I'm going to talk about the biggest mistake I have made in my software sales career. I was just speaking with an intern. He asked me that question, so I got super introspective, and I want to share that with you guys here today. When I think about cold calling, you have a moment in time to connect with somebody. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So before you think about overcoming objections, get in that headspace that you are calling in order to, one, wish someone a good day. You want to make their day better as a result of talking to you. And number two, you want them to leave the call feeling like setting up another meeting with you, you are selling time, is actually going to benefit them in their role, help them be more successful, and also help their business as a result. So go into these cold calls not looking at it as a chore, a task you don't want to do, but rather look at it as a way that you are giving back, and it would be selfish for you to not call. And that's why I make so many calls. So when I get into the call, you have a very short period of time to convey value. And the two most common points you face objections, based on my experience, is upfront when you face an immediate rejection, when they don't even give you the time of day and they immediately shoot you down and say, I'm in another meeting, I'm on a call. Is this a cold call? How'd you get my number? I'm not interested. That's the first category of objections you face, and these are very hard to overcome. The second category of objections you face is when you actually get into your pitch and you say, well, hey, I'm Trent from Trent's YouTube channel. Have you already subscribed? Well, why don't you go like the video now? You make the ask, and then they give you an objection such as, well, Trent, I'm already subscribed to your channel, or in most cases in sales, I'm using your competitor. Now's not a good time. We have other priorities. Hey, I just don't want to learn more. And they give you an objection to your ask. This is a very different type of objection, and these are actually much easier to overcome than the first type of objection. So when you make your cold call, the general structure, you make the call, there's a lot of different ways you can nail the first 15 seconds. I always start out by saying, hey, this is Trent from insert company name, how are you? The reason I do this is because those State Farm commercials where he says, hey, this is Jake from State Farm, it's really catchy. And it tells me that when you say, hey, this is Trent from insert company name, that's the first part that I think is universal, everyone should do. The second part, I always ask, how are you? And there's a lot of conflicting thoughts on this because everyone knows you don't actually care how they are. But if you're approaching it from the standpoint of trying to improve their day, say it with the actual tone, pitch, and inflection that you care to be there, you want to speak with them, and I think that will show through on the phone. So I always ask, how are you? And if they give me, I'm doing okay, how are you? If they ask me how I am, I know I'm in, and that's a really good sign. It's actually a tell, because if they don't say it, you know you got to get into it quick. Something else you can say is, hey, I know I'm calling you out of the blue. Can I have 30 seconds to tell you the reason why I'm calling you? Oftentimes they'll say, yeah, go ahead. Whenever you get into the call, I usually say, well, hey, the reason I'm calling you specifically is that I'm following up on a recent email I had sent you. Does my company name ring a bell? The reason I'm calling you specifically is that I noticed that you oversee the marketing department. Is customer feedback, data analytics a priority for you and the team this year? You want to start off by asking an open-ended question to hopefully get them to say yes, to condition them to positively reinforce what you say with a yes. So whenever you get them to do that, whatever it may be, maybe they say no, you then go into your value prop, and you need to be able to succinctly convey the value, why this matters for them and who you are, in 5 to 10 seconds. This is very challenging. It takes a lot of time, and through repetition, you will get there. And whenever you make the ask for their time, they're going to hit you with some sort of objection. Or they're going to say yes. And you always got to make sure you're actually making the ask for their time. And that's the most important thing, is if you're getting on these calls and you're not making the ask, you actually have no chance of ever setting the meeting. So you always got to be making the ask. So on the upfront call, if they hit you with, I'm on another call, now's not a good time, etc., I always start out by saying, look, I know I was calling you out of the blue. Acknowledge it. And then I say, can I give you a quick call back later today? And the purpose with this is you want to show them that you are not going away easily, and you actually want them to realize, okay, well, I might as well just deal with this now. And that's how you want to overcome that upfront objection when they try and rush you out the phone. Keep in mind, they're going to try and speed it off, but you need to control the pace. You need to control the pace at all times. It's like you're like LeBron, you're the floor general. You control the tempo. So don't let them rush you, slow down, and don't let them rush you off the phone, and show that you're not going away easily, and say, look, can I just have 30 seconds to tell you the reason why I'm calling you, to see if it even makes sense for us to speak in the future? And most people are going to say yes, because that's logical, because they don't want you to waste their time in the future. So that's typically how I overcome most of those objections. Sometimes they rush you out the phone and nothing can be done with it. The second part of objections is when they give you an objection after you make the ask for their time, such as, now's not a good time, we have other priorities, we don't have any budget, we're using your competitor. What you need to do when you deal with these objections is, number one, you need to validate that you acknowledge them. Hey, definitely not asking for any budget today. Yeah, I figured you had a solution in place already. Validate that you acknowledge that you heard what they said, and you say it back to them in a different way. And they'll naturally be at ease and say, okay, at least he heard me there. After you validate what they said, you then need to give them a reason as to why it makes sense to actually still take the time despite their initial objection. So what this could look like is, hey, Trent, we have no budget. Definitely not looking for any budget today. It would seem to me that you as a department would care about having a solution that drives the most impact for your business. Would it make sense to set up a brief introductory conversation so that when that time comes, at least you have a baseline understanding of why we may or may not be a better fit of our solution? I'm confident by the end of that call, you will either feel all the more confident in your solution today, or you'll see that there's a big area of opportunity to improve. So that's an example of what you could say, a bit long-winded, we're going off the cuff here, but basically when it comes to objections, validate, you hear what they say, and then give them a compelling enough reason to reconsider why it still makes sense to take your call. That is how I think about objections while cold calling. Let me know what specific questions you have on that down below, and if it would be helpful for me to make another objection video on any specific objections that we can go much deeper in, or on objections when it comes to the sales cycle, buying, negotiation, all that, because I am an account executive and I do more than just generating pipeline. The biggest mistake I have made in my 4-year software sales career is not going all in earlier. The intern said, what bad habits do you have that I should avoid? And I said, your business life is a reflection of your personal life. So the more harmony you have as it relates to your relationships, your health, your wealth, the better your business is going to be. So I said, what is holding me back? And it's partying, it's drinking, it's playing video games, it's excessive leisure time. So these were all the things that I had struggled with early in my career, because I love playing video games. I enjoyed going out, hanging out with friends, doing all that stuff. And I finally reached a point a few years ago where I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go all in. I'm gonna flip that switch and I'm gonna try as hard as I absolutely can. I'm gonna give up these bad things, and I know that there's a possibility that I still might fail, and I need to be willing to accept that. So the earlier you can get to a place in your head that I'm going all in, I'm not doing things because I'm worried about satisfying other people, I'm not doing things because I'm scared of failing or scared of succeeding. I'm doing things because I'm trying to maximize my potential, because I care about my success and providing a great future for myself and my family. And that is the place I had to get to, and it didn't happen immediately after college. It took some time, but the biggest mistake I made was not going to that place earlier and then starting to put myself out there. I had to sacrifice basically all of my social life in order to build this YouTube channel, in order to start making I put out 160 videos straight last year. Think about that. 160 videos straight. A lot of content, a lot of sacrifice. And it's just going all in and saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful in whatever pursuit I decide to spend all my time on. If you enjoyed today's video and got value, hit the like button right now. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one. I'm going to link my Sales Prestige podcast. First link in the description below. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, and if you're still with me, it would mean the world if you could go support the channel, subscribe, and let me know what guest you want to see on the podcast, because I will reach out to them on LinkedIn, and I will get them on the podcast if you want to hear from them. Have a great rest of your day. Good luck with those objections. Talk to you in the next video. Peace.